Hello friends, welcome to the session on HTML programming. In this session, we will discuss what we mean by the cascading style sheets, or in short form we call it as a CSS. In this session, we will see how we can use CSS in the HTML programs, what are the advantages that we will get, what are the different forms of CSS along with some suitable examples. Friends, as you know that you are viewing this session on my YouTube channel, and you can subscribe to the channel so that you can watch many other educational videos on the various topics of the subjects of electronics and computer science. So let us start the session and let us understand what we mean by the CSS or cascading style sheets. CSS is a very useful technology in the HTML in which we can decide how the different HTML elements can be displayed on the screen. Say for example, you might have seen some web page where you will find that the website is developed or it is seen on the screen in a very stylish way. So the fonts are different, the colors are different. For every paragraph, you will find that the different characters are used in order to display the web page in more attractive fashion. So whenever the CSS is being used for describing the HTML elements, then we can display them as per our own requirements on the screen, as well as they can be seen on the paper or they can be seen on other media as well. CSS is a very useful technology with the help of which we can save a lot of work, because with CSS we can control the layout of the multiple web pages at once. It will allow you to control the look and feel of the several web pages by changing a single source. So we have to create a source of CSS, and when we create a source of CSS, then that source can be applied simultaneously to the different web pages. So CSS rule will consist of a selector, and it will also have a declaration block. Say for example, as shown in this window, this is the selector, and then we have the declaration block. So selector will indicate the HTML element, what kind of style you want for your HTML element. So we can make the use of h1, or we can make the use of tags like body in the selector. And in the declaration block can contain one or more declarations, and that has to be separated by the semicolon. So multiple declaration statements can be added in the block, but every statement has to be separated by a semicolon. And each declaration contains a property name and value, which is being separated by a colon. So in this way, you can write the CSS rule, where basically there are two parts. The first one is being called as a selector, and the second one is called as the declaration block. So let us understand what are the different types of CSS and how we can make use of them. So there are three methods of implementing the styling information to an HTML document. The first one is called as the inline CSS. The second one is called as the embedded style sheet or internal CSS. And the third one is called as the external CSS. In the inline style sheet, we make the use of style attributes in the HTML start tag itself. So inline CSS is normally used to apply CSS on a single line or some single element. Say for example, in a paragraph we can write style color blue hello CSS. So you will find that the color blue will be applied to the selected element. In embedded style sheet or internal CSS, here it is used to apply CSS on a single document or a web page. It can affect all the elements of the page. So it is written inside the style tag within the head section of the HTML document. So whenever you want to apply the styling to the complete web page, then in that case you can make the use of this embedded style sheet. External style sheet is generally used when you want to make the changes on multiple pages. So this is a style sheet. Once you designed, then it can be applied simultaneously to many pages. It will facilitate to change the look of the entire website by changing just one file. So if you make some changes in one file, then automatically the complete web page will look differently. It will make the use of link tag on every page, and the link tag should be put inside the head section. An external style sheet can be written in any text editor. So whenever you want to create a file, then you can make the use of any text editor, and it must be saved with a extension .css. So external CSS file should not contain any HTML tag, but it will contain only the styling related element. So for example, we can write a simple CSS file such as h1 color navy semicolon margin left colon 20 pixel. So this is a simple program where we have made the use of the internal style sheet. So here you will find that we have made the use of the style h1 color red, and the internal style sheet is applied only on this heading, while the rest of the paragraph you will find that it will not be affected. So whenever you type this short code by using any text editor, and when you execute by giving appropriate path in the web browser, then one can easily observe that only this heading is displayed in the red, because only to that we have applied the style, and the second line will appear normal. So there are certain properties that are associated with the CSS. So float is a CSS property written in a CSS file or directly in the style of an element. The float property defines the float of the content. So float, you can set it as a left. So this will keep the element float on the left side of the container. Float right will keep the element float on the right side of the container. Float none is a default property, so it will show the element as it is. There is a display property in the CSS. It will define how the components such as division, hyperlink, heading are going to be placed on the web page. It specifies how the element is displayed. As the name suggests, this property is used to define the display of the different parts of the web page. So for example, we can write display colon and then value, where value is inline. It is used to display element as an inline element. We can put the value as a block. It is used to display an element as a block element. It starts a new line and takes up the whole width of the browser window. Block inline, this is another value. This value is very similar to the inline, but the difference is that you are able to set the width and the height, or otherwise you can write none. So this element is completely removed. So let us understand it by taking some appropriate example. So this is an example of styles. So float left, font size 20 pixel, background color gold. Then display inline, then end of the style, h2 class, float left, and then some name is being written. Suppose my name is being written, and then h1, then the text rearranges itself around the element that is being floated left. So whenever you type this short program by using any text editor, and when you execute it by using the web browser, then one can observe the screen will look like this. So this is a name where the style is being applied, and since it is float left, it is kept on the left side, and the rest of the elements or rest of the text will appear across it as shown in this window. So thank you friends. Hopefully you have understood how we can make the use of CSS in the HTML.